What's going on, guys? Andre Hakel Jr. here from Client Ascension, and today I'm here with my good friend Ayman Arab, and we're going to do a little bit of a student success interview. So, Ayman, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? So a little bit about myself. Basically, I run a short form content agency. I started on November 25th, and then I stayed consistent, signed my first client, and then joined Client Ascension right away 3 weeks later. And then the rest is history, pretty much.
It's crazy, man. You beat me to the chase. Like, what's your background? Who are you? Where did you grow up? You're young, man. You're young, and I think that's a big theme of this specific interview is how young you are, which is just crazy. So kind of tell people how, like, your age and then how you got into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, 100%. So basically, I just turned 18 in December, and
Jeez,
then I
thought
was
you were
17 when
19
I
for some
started.
reason. You were younger.
Nope. Yeah. And then, so I signed my first client 2 days after I turned 18. So I actually started when I was 17.
Wow.
And then basically how I got into entrepreneurship was like, I always just wanted to make money, basically. And I started out, I was flipping shoes and stuff, kind of like what you used to do.
Yeah.
And then I was flipping books at the thrift store, flipping random stuff. And then I was like doing video editing since I was 12 years old. And then I realized like I can monetize that. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go monetize it. And then, I guess that's a little bit about myself and my background.
That's cool, man. So, like, you're still in high school, or what's that look like?
Yeah, so I finished like a year and a half of college, and then I just dropped out like maybe a month ago-ish.
A month ago. And what was that decision like to drop out? Was that heavily influenced by like the success you're having in business, or what went into making that decision?
Yeah, so basically like I wanted to drop out since like for like a year now, since February of last year. And then what really pushed me over the edge is because I always had in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, I have to be making like money online before I can quit, sort of thing. And then finally, like in January, everything started like flowing in, kicking in after I joined Client Ascension. And then Trina like pushed me over the edge, and Mario as well. And then Matt too from Client Ascension. They pushed me over the edge. I told my parents, and then I dropped out. It was a pretty funny scenario, and I actually recorded it too, which was pretty cool.
Oh, no, man. I will say, I'll put a disclaimer on this video that Client Ascension is not responsible for any students dropping out of any university. We don't want any angry parents reaching out. We have nothing to do with this, no matter what Ayman just said here. That's crazy, man. But that's so cool. So, like, everything comes together so fast for you, which is really exciting. And so maybe talk a little bit about, like, how you got indoctrinated into money Twitter and who some of the first people are from there that you connected with, and how that spun into, like, is that how you found Client Ascension, through Twitter?
Yeah, so basically, I'm pretty sure I found Daniel through Twitter. So what happened was, it was like early November. I bought some random course from some guy on Twitter. He was saying like how to make $100 a day from Twitter. And then pretty much to sum up the whole ebook, he was just like post 3 times a day and do Twitter replies pretty much. So I was doing that. And then randomly I landed on Daniel. And then I bought Internet Money, like his Discord. I was in there on November 25th. And then I signed my first client on December 17th. And then, so yeah, that's how I found him, through Twitter. And like one thing that pushed me over the edge and made me really join Client Ascension was I was just seeing the testimonials like everywhere. I was like, I can't miss out on this opportunity. And then I just joined.
Yeah, interesting question for you then, because you obviously have seen like Client Ascension from an outsider perspective, with like the marketing and the messaging that we use, and then now you see what it's like behind the scenes, actually working with our team, going through the program and getting the full experience. Like, I guess, how can you compare what you thought it would be to what it actually is?
So I would say Client Ascension like blew away my expectations. Like I was expecting like, okay, I'm going to sign some more clients and stuff. And like, they're going to help me out with my cold email scripts, all that. But I just didn't expect like really what kind of took me by surprise was like the community feeling. Because there's all these people selling like, oh, communities and stuff, but it's all like garbage. But then Client Ascension, it's like I actually made friends. Like I'm actually talking to people every day in there, and it's like connections that I'm never gonna lose. So it was like probably the best investment I ever made in my life.
That's cool, man. I appreciate you
Yeah.
saying that. That means a lot, and I'm happy to hear that. And yeah, it is a really neat community. We did our first in-person
Mhm.
event in like October of last year, and it was crazy, man, because like I can only see so much of what's happening with how big the community has grown, and just seeing people in person, and like you could just tell like two students would go up to each other and they'd like dap up and like they're friends, and I didn't even know like they introduced each other and that they talked. And just the other day, I was interviewing Matt Lucero, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my friend Ayman would be perfect for one of these." And I'm like, "Oh, you know Ayman? Like, I didn't know you guys talk like that." And so it's cool to see like how the community takes shape. But it also speaks a lot to you and being outgoing and making an effort to make these connections. So props to you. Um, my next question is like, what was again? Everything happened so fast for you, which is so cool. But if you could go back to like when you were first starting or when you first joined, like what was the biggest problem that you struggled with early on that you were looking to solve?
I just wanted to fix like my lead flow. Like I just wanted to sign a lot of clients really fast. And like I was just staying up, like just doing cold DMs, but like I knew that wasn't enough. I knew I needed to learn like lead gen, like how do you actually find the leads and how do you contact them, the perfect message. So yeah, I just needed to sign more clients really fast. And then that's exactly what Client Ascension did for me. So like I'm happy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people will come in and they'll like focus so heavily on their service delivery and making sure their onboarding process is pristine and perfect. And the issue with that is they don't have their lead gen or sales figured out. So I understand like they want to make a great first impression when they get a client, but they don't have any strategy in place to actually go out and get clients. And so you flipped it around and you put the priority on lead gen, and so, how did you end up solving that? You mentioned cold email. Is there anything else that you're doing that's effectively helping you to get more clients?
Yeah, so really what pushed me forward was like one, just like building connections in the community because a couple of my clients are actually directly from Client Ascension
No way.
or a referral from someone else in Client Ascension, which is pretty cool. And then um, other than that, like I landed one or two clients from like outbound messages, and I was also just getting a lot of inbound. Like I was just going through the Twitter stuff in the learning section in Client Ascension, and then my followers like I joined at like 250 followers and I just hit like almost 1900 like a couple
Whoa.
of days back. It's like, yeah, so Twitter is definitely like my main sort of lead gen and where I'm like getting all my clients from as well.
That's so cool, man. I mean, that was the same for me, honestly. Like when I joined the Twitter space, I think it was April 2021, so almost 2 years now. And like those first 10,000 followers, it's really interesting
Mhm.
because like now I have, I think, 33,000 followers, but the engagement was a lot better when I had like 1,900 and I was between the 0 to 10K. And so, yeah, like that's the golden age right there, is just capitalizing on really, because what it is you're cementing like your brand image for what it's going to be ongoing. And I think you've done a really good job with that, which is why people are reaching out and they're inquiring about your services and how you work and what you offer. So that's so cool, man. And maybe share a little bit about the results. Like, how has the agency been running? How many clients do you work with now? What does the fulfillment look like? Do you have any team members? Just kind of bring us up to where you're at now.
Yeah, 100%. So basically when I joined, I was just doing pure short form. And then, so I joined Client Ascension on December 26th with one client. And then I
Yo, wait,
finished
one second,
January
one
by,
second. Were you the guy that literally joined like on Christmas?
I joined on the 26th.
Okay,
So
the
the day
day after
after.
Christmas. Because was Dylan the guy that was your the sales rep?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Dylan's
Dylan
like, this
closed me.
one guy is like messaging me. I'm like at family dinner. Should like I take the call now? And I was like, if he wants to, yeah. That's just, I mean, that speaks a lot to like your like mindset, dude. Like, not a lot of people are working the day after Christmas, and here you are, like, you probably just got some nice gifts from your family, and you have a little bit more money to invest. And the first thought is, what can I treat myself to this Christmas? And it's Client Ascension.
Yeah, the best gift ever. So, yeah, what was the original question you asked me? Oh, yeah, how's like stuff going in my agency and all that? Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, I was doing purely short form. I joined on the 26th. I had one client. And then in January, I made my first hire. I got like a part-time editor. So I was still doing some video editing myself, and I had an editor as well. And I added 3 clients in January. And then in February, I finished by adding 5 clients.
Wow.
And now I have, so now I have me, I have a part-time editor, and then I have another editor who does only long-form content, because now I pivoted my offer. So I'm doing short-form and long-form content. And I have another additional service on top where I'm turning their video content into tweets and threads and emails and auto DMs. So it's a whole content operating system. So now I have 2 editors, me, and then I have a VA, which I'm currently onboarding. And then, that's how it's going. So total right now I have 8 clients.
Wow. And I love how you've evolved your service, and it sounds like each little tweak to the services to provide more value to your clients, right? They're coming to you not just for short form, but really a content operating system like you described it. One question I'd have is, again, like mentioning your age, you're 18. What's it been like? Because I get this objection all the time from younger guys, is like, why would someone who's older than me, trust me on a sales call or even want to work for you, right? Because even going out as like an 18-year-old and interviewing and hiring people that are older than you can sometimes be a little awkward. So maybe walk us through what that experience has been like.
Yeah, so as far as like hopping on sales calls with people who are like way older than me, it's been like really chill. Like, no, if anything, people just like kind of praise me. They're like randomly throughout the call, they're like, "Hey, how old are you, man?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm 18." And they're like, "Oh."
You'll get the classic line
So
of
I
like,
feel like
"Oh man, if only I was doing what you were doing at that age," or
bro,
"You don't even know what I was
I've
doing
heard
at
that.
your age." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't," and I don't want to know.
Yeah. But yeah, I've heard that line too many times, dude.
So many.
So I keep getting asked that on almost every sales call. But if anything, I feel like it actually helps me, because they go like, "Wow, dude, this dude's 18. He's like pitching like mid-ish 4-figure deals over the phone." Like, it kind of shows like I'm mature, and it kind of establishes some trust, at least, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And the one thing that I've learned about you just in these past 10 minutes is you're very well spoken for an 18-year-old. And so I would say, like, just personal advice to anyone listening that's either younger or isn't fully confident in going out and doing sales calls and building a team and hiring people is really just work on your communication skills. As simple as that sounds, like being able to hop on a call and with the recorder, with the cameras on, and speak very clearly and intelligently is, like, honestly, like the most valuable skill set you can have, or at least have like a foundation of to build on. So really cool, man. One of the other questions is, again, like, you've come into this program like 2.5 months ago. So this is specifically for students that are in Client Ascension already, because this will be sent obviously to the entire community. What would be like your one piece of advice to those students, whether they're just starting out in the program, or let's just do just starting out? Because again, you had a really quick start, just detailing those last 2 months.
Yeah. So my advice, or what I did at least, was like, I literally went to almost every coaching call. That was the first part. And then the second part was I was just constantly asking questions, like whether that was on the coaching call or in my private channel with all the coaches. I was just asking questions, but I always made sure I wasn't asking like kind of easy questions. It was like actual meaningful questions that were like well said, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my advice would be ask questions and go to every coaching call.
Yeah. There's 2 types of question askers. It's funny because some people ask a bunch of questions, but all the questions are ones that you could just send to like a software support chat, right? Like, you're asking me how Google works and how like this software, like how to create your login and reset your password. I'm like, I'm not the person that, like, you're not paying me to ask what you can ask a support rep, right? Like, ask me the intelligent questions. And I think, again, like you said, that's something you've done a really good job of doing, is first going to the coaching calls to figure out what are probably questions other students are asking and what is the coach specifically knowledgeable about that I can think of, okay, I have this sort of question, or I need this answered so I can do this in my business. And so it sounds like you've listened first in the beginning. That's the first thing you did. And then you went out and you asked the questions based on what you heard.
Yeah. Exactly. I always made sure to hop on those coaching calls, like you said, and then listen to everyone else's questions, see like how the coaches are responding, if they're saying like those are good or those are bad. So I kind of got an idea of what kinds of questions I should be asking to move forwards. And then from there, I just ask questions based on what I needed. Yeah.
So awesome, man. And so, similar question, this is a little more broad, is like, what would be your advice for someone that's trying to start an agency in general? They're not in a coaching program. They're basically like you were, I think you mentioned in like November when you first decided, like, hey, I have this skill set of, video editing that I picked up all the way back when I was 12 years old and I want to make money online. Let's do this. What would you say to someone in that same position?
Yeah, I would say just figure out if you have any current skills that you already have that can be monetized. So that's the first step. And then if you don't, just like search up what are some in-demand skills and pick one from there. But let's say you already have a skill, you learned it. The next step is to just pick an offer based on that skill and just like rip it to the ground. Like you have to send like thousands of emails, thousands of DMs before you even think of like switching or whatever. Because I know it sounds like I had like fast success and stuff, but I actually tried to start an agency twice before this. I was doing like local lead gen for electricians and HVAC and stuff. And I quit pretty soon and I kept switching my stuff. But if I just stuck to it like I did in end of November, where I was like, I picked my offer, made my website in one day, made my VSL the next day. I just started sending DMs right after that. It's like you're guaranteed success if you just don't give up.
Yeah, you just got to continue to show up every single day consistently and put in real effort. That's what I always tell people. It's not really a secret, right? It's like you have to be patient. And this is probably like my favorite saying. I literally have it on my wall above my computer. It's live in the day and measure by the decade. And what that means is you have to have urgency on the day to day. Like just because you should be patient with the results doesn't mean you lay back and are lazy all day and you're waiting for the results. Like you're not literally waiting. You're showing up every day and putting in the work and knowing that the results are eventually going to be there, just not today or maybe not next week or maybe not next month, but a year from now or 3 years from now, right? And I think with that mindset, it's impossible to fail, like you said, especially if you have a valuable skill set, which is the core of it all. So,
100%.
Awesome, man. So last question is, where can our audience find you, follow you, and learn more about what it's like to work with you?
Yeah, so basically you can find, so I'll start with my website. It's tickscale.net. And then my Twitter is probably the best place to contact me. It's at the Ayman Arab. So should I spell it out? Or is it...
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay, so it's like TheAymanArab. And then my YouTube is just, if you search up Ayman Arab, I should come up as well.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. It was, for me personally, very cool to learn more about your story and your journey so far through Client Ascension. You dropped a ton of gems and value for agency owners that are looking to have the success that you've been having recently. And I really hope if you're out there and you're listening to this, you reach out to Ayman and just connect with him and learn more about his journey and what he's working on and what's working for him and what's not working for him. And really just go back to what he said earlier on in the interview is just connect with other people, make friendships. That's what this is really all about. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys all on the next one.